Podcast Reborn is a mature podcast, and it may contain spoilers for current content in Final Fantasy XIV, so listen at your own risk. From the many realms of Atheris to the distant reaches of the 13th via the magic of podcasting, this is episode 37 of A Podcast Reborn, a show celebrating our journey in the past, present, and possible future of Final Fantasy XIV. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, June 4th, 2023, and this is your spoiler warning for any and all things related to patch 6.4. You have been warned. My name is Brian Black, otherwise known as Ro, and speaking of episode 37, I still need to pack my bags for my 2-week vacation in Sanctuary. I just hope there aren't any errors. With me, as usual, are my two amazing co-hosts. Hello, Brandon. How are you today?
What? That's it? No intro?
I'm just wondering how you're doing.
I'm doing pretty darn good, actually. Arms are sore from, all the yard work I had to do over the weekend, but aside from that, great.
Awesome. Got any dad jokes for us?
Yeah, probably. It turns out I asked Ralbon for some help once, and he got really angry at me. I'm not sure why. All I asked was, hey, can I get a hand over here?
And I gotta apologize, folks. I mean, that was a great dad joke, Brandon. But
Thank
folks, I know you might be disappointed if I didn't have a witty intro for Brandon. I have a good reason for that. You see, there's only so much time to talk about patch 6.4. So moving right along, Meagan, tell us how you really feel about Sweaty Estinian.
I think it just proves my theory that Estinian is a stinky boy. I mean, come on. He's the only one we've seen like that. So, stinky boy. Someone holds that boy down.
I mean, you do realize that man was wearing super heavy, thick armor in a very humid climate that is down there. Yeah, that dude's got to be reeking. I don't want to know who has to clean that place.
He's a very smelly boy. So someone should just come in with the hose and be like, oh, Estinian's been in here.
Your reaction to just hearing the noises that were being made with a black screen.
Look, man, it sounded like something was going on.
Enter. Was he telling you to enter or someone else? I mean,
or did he think that it was just Fritra at the door? So he was going to be like, hello.
Wow.
Like, sitting in, we have guests.
Is that why he was so hasty to tell Zero? No. He's going to put clothes on.
Yeah, probably.
He'll make himself presentable soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, that boy's absolutely feral. He's smelly. And I love that in my ship of him and a dragon, that the dragon is like the polite, civilized one. And the elf is the stinky feral boy.
That's fair. I do have to say that when I saw that scene, I was actually rather surprised because, I mean, I don't know about you two, but I didn't know that we were playing Final Fantasy 30.
What?
What?
Let it sink in. Give it a minute.
Oh my!
Thank you. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Explain the joke. I'm too stupid.
What is 30 in Roman numerals?
Unfortunately, I cannot take credit for that joke. Thank you, Jesse Cox. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
That he is.
It was the bead of sweat running directly over the little nipple that really got me. I was. If you want to, if my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel, I have a VOD of my me losing my mind over this scene. If anybody wants to watch it.
I did not expect our 6.4 episode was going to be an extended discussion of Estinian's sweaty nipples, but I don't know what else I could have expected.
I thought that was going to be the entire episode myself. I was discussing it with Lisa. I'm like, we might just spend an entire hour talking about that scene and nothing else. I wasn't sure how long we were going to talk about it, but I'm more than happy to talk about other things. There's plenty of other stuff that came out in patch 6.4 besides Estinian's stinky body. So sorry for throwing you off guard with the intro. I mean, you got to do the non-intro intro once in a while, right?
I suppose that's true.
Keep you on your toes, and sometimes there's an unexpected twist, just like there was kind of a couple of unexpected things, at least from my point of view in 6.4. So, I mean, let's just kind of get to it. Meagan, obviously you've been playing 6.4, but like, what stuff have you been loving about it? What have you been doing? What have you been enjoying?
Well, I haven't actually been playing it that much because, but big cat mob news. Me and Ward found a kitten on the way home on Thursday, I think. No, was it Wednesday? I think it was Wednesday. And we're keeping her so far right now. I've named her Bon Bon. You can see pictures of her on my Twitter. And so I've just been like spending time with and taking care of a 8-week-old kitten. Butterscotch is bereft. She's very upset. For the first few days, she refused to even come out from under the bed. Now she's sitting in front of the bathroom door eating, so I think that's a good sign. But I did the 6.4. I haven't done the Island Sanctuaries. I haven't even done any PvP. I've just done the me and my raid team and Ward. We did the Dias, the new trial, the 7. What is it? What do they call it? Ultimate? No, it's not an ultimate. The
Extreme.
The Extreme, the big boy trial. We got up to second Gale.
Avoid cast Dias.
Yeah, we're hoping to clear it tonight, and then start on the other stuff when it unlocks next week. But yeah, I haven't really done much. I haven't really had time. Like,
you're living way too true to your username.
I am, but like, oh my god, So, like, me and Ward are walking home, and we're, like, right outside our apartment building, and Ward just goes, holy shit, and I'm like, what? And I, like, look over, and I see a little furry thing moving in my brain. I'm like, oh god, it's like a giant rat or something. But no, it was a little fluffy gray kitten, and she, like, took off and ran into the garage of our apartment building, and she hid under someone's car, and so I'm like, well, we're also coming back from groceries, so our arms are full of groceries. So I'm like, Ward, take all the groceries upstairs. I'll like keep an eye on her, like get the cat carrier and bring it back. We'll try and catch her. And like, it took us like an hour to get her, and like we had a bunch of our neighbors come down and help us. And what eventually worked was, she was ravenous. She was extremely hungry. So, but I was like, let's get a churro because like that's really stinky and maybe that'll get her attention. And she would like sneak out, eat a little churro, and then run back. So I literally like made a trail of churro into the carrier, and then she like followed it all the way inside, and I slammed the door shut.
Nice.
So that's how we got her. Yeah, she's very different from Butterscotch. Butterscotch is a very aloof, very I don't know. She's a very weird cat. She's not very cat-like at all. And Bon Bon is like 110% cat. Does all the things that normal cats do. And I'm like, oh yes, this is what cats are like. I had forgotten.
As streetwise as an 8-year-old kitten can be.
Yeah. Oh my god. She has this little scraggly meow. And when we first got her and we're keeping her in the bathroom because Butterscotch is scared. Butterscotch is like, she's not aggressive. She's scared. She wants to like run away and hide from this tiny kitten. She's absolutely teeny. So we're trying to be like, okay, Butterscotch, you have the main room. Bon Bon has the bathroom. And then as you slowly get used to each other, we'll like introduce them to each other. And hopefully that'll work out. But yeah, oh my god, she used to just run and hide under the sink anytime somebody came in the bathroom, and now when I come in the bathroom, she'll like start running and then look and see that it's me, and then like come running up to me going, "Meow, meow." She wants pets. She's so cute,
Mom.
Yeah, she's a little screamer. Butterscotch is also very chatty, so they have that in common. But yeah, I really hope that they get along. If Butterscotch just absolutely rejects her and refuses to get along with her, then I'm going to have to rehome Bon Bon because Butterscotch is she's my priority. She's my baby. But I really hope that they can get along because Bonbon is extremely sweet and extremely cute. And I'm like, Butterscotch, she is a baby. She cannot hurt you.
So when are we getting Bonbon Cam on the stream?
That's, I mean, I could maybe set that up at some point. What I'll probably do is just end up like taking a picture of her and put it like in the corner or something like that. Because like I use my my phone as my VTuber cam, so I can't use that. So I'd have to like buy a whole ass webcam. But yeah, man, I've been thinking about getting like a cat cam because like Butterscotch just likes to hang out in the hallway, or she did. Now she's like she pops in there to eat and then runs away because the kitten's there. Oh, Ward, will you move the stuff so Butterscotch can be in the window? Sorry. Live Butterscotch action.
Okay, so content-wise, you haven't done Island Sanctuary or PvP. Have you done all of normal Pandemonium? And have you done all of you've done all the MSQ, I take it, since you got Voidcast Dice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I found the end of the Pandemonium to be kind of underwhelming, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's like I get that. See, now I can't even remember. Athena. I get that Athena was like built up through all of this, but I don't know. I don't feel like I really got to know her that much. I feel like I got to know her even less than Vampire Daddy. You know,
I would kind of have to agree with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like I knew we were going to fight Athena, and that Athena was probably going to be the last boss. But I guess there was a part of me that was thinking that La Habrea was going to be a little more important than he turned out to be. Don't get me wrong; he was like a factor, but more kind of a more of a side character than I expected him to be.
Yeah, and I was really hoping that we would actually get to meet like their souls, not just like their memories.
Right. Although I think we did get to meet Elidibus's soul.
I mean, a little bit, but like not really. Like she just pulled memories. Yeah.
Elidibus, Ericthonios, and La Habrea were all just memories. We never interacted with the real boys.
I mean, I know it's the case with Ericthonius and La Habrea.
Couldn't know with Eric.
There was something with Elidibus. It seemed, man, I'd have to go back and look at the line, but I thought I remember seeing something that kind of indicated that maybe there was a little more going on with reconnecting to Elidibus.
No,
they said that she pulled some of his memories out of the live stream somehow, and that's how she reconstructed him.
Yeah, but it's still pretty much just an illusory shade. It's not the real guy.
Yeah.
Which meant I had no compunctions against kicking the living shit out of him. Absolutely deserved. I'm with you though. I thought La Habrea was going to be the final boss on some level. Just because I wanted that to be like, Yoshi and crew's little apology for having Thornton steal our kill of him. Because let's face it, of the three unsundered Asians, he is by far the most despicable. And my opinion of that has not changed, getting to know him in the past of Elpis in the first two Wings of Pandemonium. La Habrea is a fucking dick, and I am not apologizing for that.
Yeah, no,
he does not let up on that, even with his little memory shade, where you basically get have the option to tell him, yeah, you're the same La Habrea that tried to blow the freaking world up with Ultima and the Ultima weapon, and he goes, I can't imagine myself going to that lengths, but it is something I would do, for it is my duty. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you asshole.
He doesn't really apologize for himself at all.
No, he doesn't. Well, and that's why I'm sad I didn't get to fight him again.
I kind of like that though. Like they didn't whoopify him, Like, yeah, we got to know him, but what we got to know is that he's kind of a rigid dick.
I mean, they pretty much did it with the other two unsundered, so I guess I can give them credit for not, just going full hog with the Asians. I mean, oh no, they're all tragic villains. I'm like, no.
Well, I mean, somebody had to be the bad influence,
I suppose that's true.
But then
again, that does make it all the shame that we don't get to fight him at the end of Pandemonium.
Yeah, I do wish that they had been more involved. Like, and I guess I was just like, I feel like Athena. It's like Athena's story was like, oh yeah, she got corrupted by some Orosite, and that made her crazy. And
Not
it's like,
just
oh,
any
okay.
oversight, though.
It just made her initial crazy more magnified. She was always a crazy
Yeah, but I feel
psychopath.
like we didn't really. She was like, you'll come to understand me, and then like, no, I won't, bitch. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
She's crazy as a loon, like, no doubt about that.
I just thought that we would get like, we would get more monologuing, or we would get like Eric being like explaining what her motivation was, because like she had like he thought he'd understood her at one point, or like I don't know, I mean, or even La Habrea once he got his memories back, he would be like, oh yes, now I understand why Athena wanted to do what she wanted to do. I don't agree with it, but like now I remember what her reasoning was, and that he could have like given us a flashback. I just
to be fair, we did get most of that in the last raid wing, though.
Yeah, I just felt like there was not enough. There's not enough like character growth for, or like I wanted to learn something new about Athena before we killed her. I wanted to like, you know, like
Athena was more Saturday cartoon villain than anything. Yeah,
and like even if her motivation was just like, ha ha ha. Well, I mean, her motivation was just like, I want to remake the world and like, make everybody perfect. Like, I would like to know why she wants to do that, and I would like to know, like, I don't know, like what the inciting incident was that got her to think this way. You know, like, was she bullied in school? Did she lose somebody that she loved? Or was she like, I don't know. I just wanted something more. Like,
I believe if I can quote the wise words of Lady Gaga, she was in fact born this way.
Well, then fine. I wanted to see her as like a child, like torturing butterflies or something, you know? Like I wanted something.
Do either of you find it interesting that the Heart of Sabik is mentioned, is now a part of this thing, and it's tied to Athena and all that? But not only that, it's like the Heart of Sabik is in play now. It's like it's a thing. I feel like this is going to be used later.
To be honest, I did not even remember what that was. I'm like,
the Heart of Sabik?
Yeah, man.
Oh, come on.
La Habrea freaking monologues in the MSQ roulette. Come on.
Yeah, I do not do the MSQ roulette, my boys. And when I do, I alt tab during the cutscenes because fuck that shit.
It's almost as much. It's almost as easy a thing to remember as such devastation. This was not my intention.
Okay, but that's funny.
So is La Habrea monologuing every time he gets the Ultima weapon to cast Ultima.
Yeah, using the Heart of Sabik.
And and Athena references that because she delivers those same lines before she casts Ultima in her fight.
Oh my god. All right,
well, maybe I'll do
the MSQ again. I'm going to need some tombstones, so
there you go.
Maybe I'll go do that.
I predict that the Heart of Sabik is going to come up, not necessarily the main story down the line of 14, but I have a feeling it's going to come into play in a future raid.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if that's the case. But in all honesty, I don't know that that's going to be the case, because that means that in order to bring that back into the story, they're going to have to make the Pandemonium normal raids required content. So maybe a side story, but I don't know if it comes up again in another raid, because you don't get the whole info dump and the fact that it's now in the hands of the Charlayan, whatever his name is. I forgot.
Well, I mean,
Claudian. Yeah, that's it.
The easy way around that is to just put Claudian in whatever storylines connected to that raid and have Claudian do the exposition. But knowing Yoshi P would probably rather that the raid be done.
Exactly, honestly, because I mean, who was the NPC who info dumped us throughout the entirety of Baja? That was Mikoto. Where does she show up? Stormblood Alliance raids. Guess what's required to go into Baja? Stormblood Alliance raids.
True.
You know what I would have liked? I think what would have made this better is if we could have actually seen Claudian getting possessed, or seen a flashback of that. I feel like that really would have
That would have helped, I think. Yeah.
it just would have made the experience feel more complete. Like, I don't know.
Via the echo or something, right?
Yeah, like that would have been, because like I figured it out before they told us what it was. And so I'm like, well, obviously Claudian is Eric's shard, and that means that he's a vessel, and that means that she possessed him, because Claudian's missing, and suddenly Athena showed up. So clearly he stumbled upon her soul or whatever, but like I didn't know it was going to be the speak thing. But anyway, yeah, I feel like, and that would have made Claudian seem like more of a character, and then we would have been more invested in saving him. And like, I don't know. It felt like the story felt really incomplete to me. That's all I could say. Although I do enjoy the fights. They're very cool. The monster designs are fucking great.
Okay. Let's talk about the fights, because I have opinions about the fights.
You don't like fighting all your base that belong to us, Giant Castle Man, with his Resident Evil glowing hit me here spot?
I actually didn't have too much of a problem with the first 3 fights. I actually thought they were. And the Themis fight, the Elidibus fight, is perhaps that's probably one of my favorite raid battles that I've played in all of 14. And considering I've done a lot of 14 content, that's a say something. There might obviously be some recency bias there, but that fight it felt good. I mean, I understood the mechanic. Like, I did all of those fights the first time, not looking at a raid video. I never look at videos the first time through, because I want to see how much of it I can figure out for myself. And that one was pretty easy to remember. I mean, after seeing that there's a light and a dark mechanic, and each of those things modifies the other shit that he does, it just felt good to learn that stuff. And it felt like an easy fight to learn. What didn't feel like an easy fight to learn was Pandemonium 12. Was the bitch herself.
Isn't that supposed to be that way, though? Like, she's the final lady.
But, okay,
I had some trouble with her, but
doing it day 1, do you know how many times we as a party wiped before someone finally realized that, hey, there were circles on the wings and that meant something?
Oh my god. Look, I don't think you can blame the encounter design for that, my dude.
Honestly, Ro, this is what you get for doing it day 1 without watching a guide. You did this to yourself. No sympathy here. Sorry.
Well, yeah, and also like final raid bosses have a lot of I guess maybe also if you do Savage, you get used to looking for non-obvious tells, or like like there's no puddle on the ground, or there's no like preamble. It's just like something glows and you know that's bad, so you move the other way, or you see a cast bar and you know what that means, so you get out of the way. It's like
I feel like Athena was the closest that I've probably come to doing like extreme trial difficulty content at level. Like that felt like when someone tells me about the difficulty of an extreme trial, and you can probably speak from more experience, I feel like fighting Athena on day 1 had probably had the same kind of difficulty as trying to do an extreme trial.
Well, if you've got the guide for the extreme trial, then maybe, I don't know. It's I don't look, if you're gonna do any content outside of normal, you really need to have the practice and the knowledge of the non-telegraphed mechanics going off, aka the glowy wing, aka just a cast bar, aka the boss made a glowy ring and it was small, so that means that in 3 moves we're all gonna have to get in, and like so I don't think Athena did anything that difficult, but she did have some non-telegraphed abilities. By that I mean like there wasn't like a puddle on the ground that you have time to get out of. She does like a glowy thing.
Knockback It just has a cast bar call out, that knockback, and she baits you into that fucking knockback with the long ass donut that's going into the ball with the balls and change, and you see the donut. It's like, oh, that's going to be a while. Okay, well, I'll prep myself and put myself in that spot. No, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I would say if you can like get used to and learn that fight and do it really well, like I would say like that's you're getting close, and like that's definitely good practice for at least trying the trials. I just, it's like especially coming from World of Warcraft, and I know you guys were World of Warcraft raiders. Final Fantasy is just so different from WoW in the way that it does its raid mechanics, in that like there is no DBM, there is no big glowing circle that you got to run out of. Like the World of Warcraft to me is very like twitch and reaction based, and like things change up every fight, so it's more like this happens, you got to get away from other players, this happens, you got to get out of the zone, this happens, you can't be like in this spot, but it's like you see it and you react to it. Whereas in Final Fantasy, it's always the same. It always happens the same way. And it's more like you're learning the dance. And like, there's not a telegraphed thing. It's like you see a cast bar, and then you have to know that like, okay, when he finishes this cast bar, he's going to swing in front of him for the entire arena. And then after that, he's going to swing behind him. So you don't get a giant orange half of the arena. You just have to know where to be and then where to run next.
You know what fight it reminded me of?
Mm-hmm.
Pandemonium 1. Pandemonium 1 was my first experience with, well, maybe not my very first, because there were some other bosses like this, I guess, but nowhere near as punishing. On Pandemonium 1, the first time I did that, I never looked at Eric Tony's flail. So when he would do that, when half the arena would be damaged, I'd be like, how the fuck was I supposed to know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Final Fantasy uses the boss models to telegraph stuff, and so you got to get used to looking at them. And the cast bars, also very important. And like, it took me forever to start reading the cast bars, especially if you're in a raid with like someone doing callouts. Like, you just get kind of used to someone being like, okay, he's casting this, and like, but like, no, you gotta keep your eyes focused on that boss bar. That's why I use my UI and I move the target bar like down right above my hotbar, so that like I can keep it right in my field of vision, because I don't like looking up at the top of the screen. I do that so that I can I do that so I can easily read the cast bar, or even just see that he's casting something. Because if you're like grinding a fight, like you're running a fight over and over again, you'll know that he's gonna cast this spell at this point sometime. So you don't even have to read it. You could just see that he's casting and be like, okay, it's time to do the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get to that point.
I will say that I have done the Athena fight now multiple times, more than 2, which some people may find is weird, because you only need to do it once a week to 7 times to get the weapon and such. But I am working on that. But I have done that fight multiple times because I'm trying to get the stupid card.
Of course.
So I don't have the card yet. And for those who care and are interested, I did not all of Pandemonium, because she did a couple of them, but I did about 9 or 10 of the bosses with Lisa. Like, she had not done any of Pandemonium shortly before 6.4. So it was, so over the past couple of weeks, it's been a journey of going from Pandemonium 1 all the way through 12. We did 11 and 12 just a couple nights ago.
If you guys ever want to like get carried, please reach out to me and Ward. We will we will power you through that shit, okay?
I mean, the normal content's fine. If I ever trying to talk her into doing Savage content, I mean, I'll let her speak for herself the next time that she's on the show. But suffice to say, you're going to have difficulty tempting her to do it.
Well, if we do
As it should be.
if we do the first one, and we could bring like me and Ward, and we get like a good healer and tank to come with, then I'm sure we could carry some other people. Like, but I don't know. My brain, I'm kind of like, do I remember how to do those fights? I don't know.
I mean, I would love the diable version of some of the sets of armor, but
they are quite pretty.
Yeah, well, we never got the last one of the last tier.
8? You never got 8 Savage down?
Yeah, so we're like, we're gonna gear up and then we're gonna go back, we're gonna kick his ass.
have fun with that.
Yeah.
Well, we're already halfway through this, and we have hardly said a thing about the MSQ outside of Sweaty Estinians. So, Brandon, I want to turn it over to you because you, of course, were the most, I would say, of the three of us, possibly the most excited about the MSQ. So I would love for you to give me your thoughts, feelings, reactions to anything that stood out for you.
Well, before we do that, I just want to say about the raid, the music for all, 9 and 10 share the same track, but all three of them are just chef kiss amazing.
MSQ had great music all throughout.
Yeah, all of it. But specifically the Elidibus fight, that particular track is just amazing.
That Amrat callback.
Oh, yes, that was gorgeous.
I'm proud to say, on my second kill of him in normal, I won the orchestrion role.
Son of a bitch.
Nice.
And I was so tempted to sell it because it was going for 2 million gil on my server, but I couldn't. No. I used it. I kept it. It's now proudly playing in my FC apartment room.
Nice.
So as far as the MSQ goes, I kind of assumed that we were going to use the big hole where Zodiark had been as going to be our new gateway into the void because we need to go to the moon in the void. So how about we go through a big old place full of darkness? Hey, sounds great to me. But the setup for how we got there was on one section, which was the first part where we got to go through the new Ether Font dungeon. That was great. The Ether Font is getting close to being my favorite dungeon in the game. It's just so much fun. And there's cute polar bears. I mean,
yes.
Who's going to say anything bad about cute bears?
They do
even ones that are charged up with lightning?
Yeah, except for maybe that one that we have to fight our way through. But at least his fight made sense. That freaking mouthy boy first one, it took me a while to get the hang of that one. Ugh.
I was when I first got into the Ether Front and I saw the cute little baby polar bears doing a little clappy dance. I was like, please don't make me kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
This raid brought to you by Coca-Cola.
So I've actually been running the Ether Font a lot because they did a thing in, I don't know if it's been the whole of Endwalker or if it's just with this most recent patch, but that dungeon gear was a pretty much solid upgrade across the board for 90% of my armor pieces across all my jobs, because I guess they decided to make the dungeon gear actually useful, which I applaud them for.
Yeah, they tend to do that. It's like the dungeon gear is to get you into normal mode raids, and the normal mode raids are to get you into savage mode raids. So it's like
but every other dungeon in the past expansions, at least, has been way below whatever would have been in the previous Alliance raid, for example. This time they upped the item level, and I noticed they did this with the 6 point. It would have been 2. Yeah, the 6.2 dungeon as well was a significant item level upgrade. Maybe not significant, but at least 5 higher than the previous patch's Alliance raid, which again is not something I am criticizing them for. I think that's a great choice. But it does mean I had a lot of gear to acquire because I was basically sitting around waiting for the crafted sets to come down in price, and I still kind of
am. They're down a fair bit.
They are down, but I'm not quite ready to go on a binge shopping spree for all of my alt jobs. Just quite yet.
Having only one primary job and the alt being also a caster, I did the shopping spree. I have 640 in everything except the first comedy tombstone piece I bought was the body. So I've got 650 on the chest now.
Nice.
I actually managed to because I ran the raids with my my FC mates who had done it all day one. I did it with them again a few days later because they were just trying to help me get through, and I won basically 4 chess piece tokens. So I got
Nice.
that on the first week, which I was not expecting, but I was happy about.
You want to know what I won?
Hmm.
A hat. You want to know what
Nice.
gear I can't equip?
Hats.
Or, yeah.
You can equip it,
show.
it just won't show up.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm gonna turn back to a cat girl eventually, but I was literally like, "Ooh, this hat's cute," and I like put it on. It was like nothing. I was like, "Ah,
Nope.
damn you, sexy bunny ears!"
Yeah. I will admit the second stage where we had to go convince the Garleans, hey, we're going to go use the Tower of Babel to basically reopen this thing so we can go, back to the void to stop it invading. I kind of found that whole section annoying because the Garleans seem to have not lost their whole pretentiousness.
Well, of course they haven't. It's realistic, and I'm like, I am glad that that the game is like, yeah, you defeat the evil. Turns out the geopolitical situations still exist, and like people are still the way they are, and it's like, fuck. Like I like that it's realistic like that, but at the same time, it is realistically annoying.
Yeah, it was like, hey, I'm the Warrior of Light. I'm the reason you guys are still alive. I'm doing this as a courtesy. If you're going to be a dick about it, you're going to lose my courtesy. And I'm just going to shoot the dang energy out of the tower anyway. And you can just deal. I don't care.
But I do like how there was also growth and development there with the whole trade agreement with Thavner and all that.
Yeah, I'm glad they basically put it on someone else's shoulders to deal with that, because I was basically like, and I'm done with this nonsense. I have a real threat to deal with, and you guys are not it.
I was really glad that we got to see Vritra being his super
being
diplomatic
a diplomat,
self.
Being a world leader, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why we brought you, because like you're smart and you're good at diplomacy, and it's not just that you're a giant cool dragon. And, like, I like that. And I also like that the twins have such an eye for diplomacy and like wanting to actually fix the world's problems. I feel like it's such a counterbalance to like older Final Fantasy games, I guess, or like just older fantasy, where it's like, yeah, we defeated the evil, the day is saved, and like, let's not think about all the kingdoms that were destroyed and all the lives that were lost and all the trauma and geopolitical instability that would leave in its wake.
I would argue that Vritra, at least right now, at least at this point in the story, is in a position where Vritra is just as important as Merlwyb, Connie Senna.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. And I love him as a character, and I think it's so cool that he looks so monstrous. that he looks so scary, but he's such a kind-hearted and good person, and like a good soul, and like he really cares for his people, and like I like that so much. And like especially coming after the Dragon Song War, being like, no, yeah, dragons can be totally chill dudes.
Well, not only that, but if anyone has a reason to say, I'm not dealing with this nonsense, we're using this tower because I want to go save my goddamn sister, it would be him.
Yeah, and he was still patient with them. Yeah, I think also to a degree, because he's like this immortal dragon, he's just like, oh, these children.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. I was basically ready to be like, okay, you have about 3 seconds to change your tune before I stop giving a crap what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's better that we go the other route. And I also am like, oh no, yeah, Vritra gave them like a path to rebuilding their lives, and like that's good, that's great. Like what a smart idea of like, yeah, they can't rely on aid forever, and like what do they have to export? Well, it's Machina and it's Ceruleum, and so instead of using that shit to lord it over everybody, they could share it with everybody and become rich from selling it. There you go.
Yeah, get rich from mercantile means instead of killing everyone in your path.
Right.
Yeah.
What an idea. Anyway.
Exportation instead of colonialism.
I would love to ask Meagan this question first, but I still want you to answer this, Brandon.
Okay.
How did you feel about the anime bullshit on the moon when Zero talked to the Loporrits?
Ten out of 10, no notes. I thought you were asking Brandon. That's why I was like, be quiet.
No, it was you.
I did ask.
You said you wanted Meagan to answer it first.
No,
That's
no.
why
I said normally I would ask Meagan this first.
Oh, okay.
Your answer.
my bad. I misunderstood. I actually thought that was pretty funny. Where Zero just goes like, "Oh, these silly little bunnies. All right, let me blow some stuff up."
I just love the like.
She does it all off screen.
But she's like, I haven't just fought Void Sense. I am Void Sense. I was like, that's my waifu.
And then the snot bubble Loprit.
I was like,
way.
Please, Zero, no war crimes against the bunnies.
Their machines are fine, just absolutely tear apart all the supporters. And then Living Waste says, we got to turn them into slaughter bots. I'm like, oh dear, this will not end well. So now I'm picturing 6.5. We get an update to the treasure rooms, and they put in like slaughter bot supporters. Yeah.
Or it's gonna be a new Smileton, like, we upgraded all the bots.
Now we got crazy. Imagine Loprits meet Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Oh, Lord. The big cheese is Skynet. It's somehow still
the big
online.
cheese is self-aware.
Oh, God.
It's put conveyor belts all over the world.
Oh, no.
It's like, that terrible iRobot movie. Like, it became sentient and it decided that we're not living efficiently. So now it's like forcing us all to like eat and sleep, and like if we come into a room and there's like robots pointing guns at Lopper, it's like recreate, and the Loppers are like dancing and crying.
Oh my goodness.
I would say back to the moon in a second, but I think I'd just generally say that I was surprised with just how much time we spent in Garlemald, because I really did not expect this to.
Me too.
I did not expect that much of the MSQ to be. I mean, really, yes, it was a means to an end of getting to Golbez, but that section in and of itself had nothing to do with Golbez and everything to do with being like an epilogue on Endwalker.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Especially on Garlemald itself.
Yeah.
Well, Golbez is like such a Saturday morning cartoon villain in a lot of ways. Like, he's a big scary dude in a lot of armor. And I know that they were like, oh, he's sad about his friend. And he actually is his friend. I'm like, okay.
He's not just sad about his friend. He's sad about Golbez.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, so what? Who cares? What the fuck? But anyway, but so then we've got this, like, we have to resolve a geopolitical situation to go fight our Saturday morning cartoon villain, and I'm like, yep, that's Final Fantasy 14 in a nutshell.
Yep.
I find it fascinating the spin that they're putting on Golbez or at least with this Golbez being this guy called Durant. And he's wearing the armor of Golbez.
Apparently, Golbez was like a really nice guy, and I'm like, maybe Golbez would not enjoy this, buddy. Now, maybe that's gonna be how we like resolve this. We're gonna like bring the actual spirit of Golbez back, and he's gonna be like, "No, my friend, this is not what I wanted. What have you done?"
Okay. Now, speaking of Golbez, let me be the one to posit a question to you two. How did you feel about A, the battle itself, and B, the aftermath?
Upset. I mean, I was mostly just like, you leave that dragon alone. But I was like, okay, they ate the dragon, but this is the 13th, so maybe we could still get her back. And then they like acknowledged that. And I was also happy that we saw Zero miss and it had nothing to do with Zero, so that was the clever misdirect that I was not expecting,
and I think they knew all along they were cleverly naming her Zero because it's like, we're gonna make everyone think she's the bad one. Now I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of theories about storyline stuff. One, I think that I think that there is, for people who are familiar with Final Fantasy IV, I have a feeling that there is going to be a reference made to a Cecil at some point. I don't know where, when, or how, but I think it's going to happen in 6.5 before that whole story comes to an end. I believe that the crystal that fell out of Zero, that Zero dropped and fell into the hole, that's going to
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to come back into play.
Definitely.
And also, I have a feeling that by the end of 6.5, Zero doesn't go by Zero. I think we get to find out Zero's original name and her name will be going forward.
What if she's Cecil?
Cecilia.
I feel like Zero is kind of like a non-binary queen, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
She seems very well. I keep referring to her as she because that's what the game refers to her as. But like, she seems very androgynous.
She does.
And like, I would like more NB representation in the game, and like, she has a cool, unique model. And I don't know. I do feel like
when her eyes wandered downwards in that scene, bringing it up again. That was classic, by the way. I will say they have gotten so much better at communicating things with just little manipulations of animation there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Absolutely. Oh my god. That when we were like eating the spicy curry and they gave that guy the fucking Hildebrand wiggle on the floor.
Yes.
I was like, oh Jesus. But yeah, I also love the fact that like Zero eats super spicy curry just to feel something.
Well, I mean, she is Vincent. That's and they had also established that she likes things that are like really flavorful and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh well, we're in Final Fantasy India, so you're gonna have a good time.
Pretty much.
Well, I mean, she's trying to absorb her, replenish her ether. Eating spicy curry is about as close to fire ether as you get.
So you see, what I originally thought about 6.4, well, I thought that a Zeromus might be involved in it. I didn't think that this story was going to carry into 6.5. I went into 6.4 under the impression that the Golbez Final Fantasy IV callback storyline, that this 13th adventure was going to basically come to an end here, or maybe, just maybe, they might surprise us with something in 6.45 as like the final thing. Maybe they would have slipped in a Zeromus fight in 6.45. They technically still could, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think Zeromus is 6.5. I didn't originally think it was going to be that way. Now, what I'm really wondering is they have said a couple of times that 6.5, something very drastic happens that sets the stage for the next expansion. So I'm wondering, do we defeat Zeromus, but in destroying Zeromus cause some big wacky shit to happen, and now shard travel between all the shards becomes possible, or something on that scale?
I think that might be what happens, because they're talking about how Zeromus is like the only thing that can rip holes in the
breach reality.
Yeah. So maybe like some crazy shit. Maybe like while we're fighting it, they're like ripping holes into different realities, and then like after we defeat it, the holes are still there. Right. That would be my guess. Something like that. Or we defeat them and we get some sort of, I don't know, Uber Soul Crystal or something that can do a thing. Or who knows, maybe like because like when you defeat something on the 13th, like you could absorb it or something, maybe Zero will absorb Zeromus and then she can travel between worlds or something like that. I don't know. That's the thing. Every time we try to guess, it's always like some other thing that we never would have thought of. So I'm just here for the ride, baby.
But there is another possibility, however. They make repeated references to the fact that they need something to pierce the barrier of darkness Ceramus is surrounded by.
Oh, we're
And
going
I
back to the
believe
first in 6.5.
And Y'shtola makes mention of the
That's
fact
right.
that the first is replete with light.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they're gonna have to figure out some way to A, pick up all that light ether, and B, channel it across shards, worlds, whatever you want to call it. Maybe there's a bridge torch. Maybe there's a bridge torch through that somehow. Maybe Reen gets the power to do it by absorbing a crap ton of light ether. Who freaking knows?
She is the Oracle of Light, man.
It is.
Ooh. I'm super excited to go back to first. I want to see my Daughteru and her girlfriend.
Now, that's an interesting thing, though, right? Because it's like, Reen would be important, yes, but there's another thing. If you haven't done the Eden raids, then you wouldn't know who Gaia is. So
my guess is that they'll basically make mention of, if you've done the Eden raids, Gaia will be like, oh, hey, good to see you again. Also, I love this girl now. You can deal. And if they don't, they'll be like, oh, hey, this is my friend Gaia. Turns out she's actually this, freaking shard of an Ascian. Also, we solved the Eden problem out in the waste because you were kind of busy, and we understand. So, hey, we're here to help.
A really cool MSQ moment that I thought was really cool because Zim and I were doing this at the same time, because at that point Zim hadn't done Pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking to oh my gosh, why am I Alphino's dad? Why am I Fortuno? When you're talking to Fortuno about the stuff going on, Fortuno reminds you, don't forget about your stuff dealing with Pandemonium. If you've done Pandemonium, that line of text comes up, and if you haven't done it, he never says anything about it. It's just that attention to detail where the game's tracking your progress and other bits of content. It's like, okay, this is a relevant thing. We're going to add this to the text. Just little things like that get me happy.
Yeah, stuff like that has always been super cool. I had completed the first 8 parts of Pandemonium, but I hadn't done the final, third. So I'm wondering if you hold off on doing the MSQ and then complete, the Pandemonium storyline. I wonder if he says something different. It's like, well, now that the threat of Pandemonium is resolved.
That's
a good question.
I might actually do that on my one of my alts. See what happens.
Check it out. I want to know. Oh man. Yeah, I love that stuff. But I don't think it would be difficult to... You don't have to give the entire backstory of Gaia. You could just be like, here's Gaia. She's my friend. She works with darkness.
I mean, I think at some point you're going to have to reveal the whole, hey, I'm the shard of one of the Ascians, but it's not a big deal. I choose to not be that person anymore.
Oh, speaking of shards, that's a question that I had. Do either of you feel that Durant/Golbez is a shard of anyone we've met before?
Maybe freaking, oh god, what's his name? The big guy, the dad guy. You know who I mean. The one who says the such devastation.
Gaius?
Gaius.
You think he could be Gaius? That's interesting.
Yeah, man. He sounds similar, and he also seems similar and is like, I will do whatever it takes to help my people. And then I feel like later he's going to be like, this was not a great way to help my people, and now I feel bad about it.
There are some parallels there.
I need to finish Tataro's Grand Adventure because I saw on the patch notes that we're going to go back to Wurlit.
Apparently, I have not done that yet, but apparently, a couple people that have done it that I know have spoken very highly of it and say it's the best part of Tataro's Grand Endeavor so far.
That I'm going to do that. That's going to be my first thing I do before I even Island Sanctuaries, because Tataru is my Daughteru.
It is extremely heartwarming. So be prepared for some tears.
Okay, good. I
want to suffer and cry happiness.
Give me a second. I'm looking this up because I feel like Golbez's voice actor has done something else in FF14. I can't remember who or what it was, and I'm not seeing anything, so I might be wrong about that. Yeah, scrolling through his voice credit list, I don't see any other FF14 voices.
What's the voice actor's name?
His name is Joseph Cap.
That does not ring a bell to me immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I love about Final Fantasy XIV's voice acting is that they are literally just employing every British character actor.
and that's carrying over into 16 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Great. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of British voices used in 16 for the English version.
Awesome. I do feel like Yoshi P is like, no, fantasy is British. Everybody knows that. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, fair enough.
Question, are either of you playing 16 when it comes out?
I don't have a PlayStation, so...
I don't have a PS5, so I can't play it until I can find the funds.
It would have to be...
If we do a special 16 episode, I'm going to have to pull like John Jagger and one other person who has a PS5. Okay.
You really are. My wife and I have talked about getting one and maybe putting it in another room in our house than the main TV room. But so far that hasn't particularly materialized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be a huge investment. And I'm not saying that we won't do it, but probably not, especially because we're going to be going to FanFest. And
you got a new mouth to feed.
Yeah, we do. Kitten food's expensive. No, it's not. Well, getting her vet, I took her to the vet and got her first vaccine shots and got her checked out. And they gave her the deworm pill because she has a chubby belly, but haven't seen any worms, so that's good. And we got her tested for like FIV and kitty leukemia, and she was all negative. So she's a healthy little trash baby.
Trash baby.
She was so filthy when we first got her. Like, so we caught her in the garage. The garage floor is absolutely disgusting. And poor Ward was getting down on, laying on the ground trying to catch her. And then, so we got her. We had her in a kitty carrier because we couldn't have anywhere else to put her at first, and we had one of those puppy pee pads down, and she stepped in her water, and then she was walking, and she was leaving little gray dirty footprints, and I was like, oh no, I gotta wash this cat. So, but luckily she was hissing at us and meowing, but she's never swiped at us, she's never bitten, she's never actually been aggressive. She's just she's just screamy. So I took her out of the cage and I pet her and she was being really sweet. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to wash you. So I brought her in the bathroom and I put a big mixing bowl in the sink and filled it with warm water. And I just kind of dunked her in and she just kind of laid back and accepted it.
Well, yeah, if you bathe them young, then they don't get all freaked out by it. And also warm water is definitely the way to go. Yeah,
so I watched her with dish soap because I watch this one YouTube channel called The Kitten Lady, which I highly recommend. If she fosters a ton of kittens and she gives all these tips and tricks, and apparently dish soap will kill fleas on contact.
Mm-hmm.
So what you want to do is make a little dish soap ring around their neck, and then wash the rest of their body in dish soap, and then the fleas can't escape up onto their face, and then they'll all die. But she didn't have any fleas, luckily. I didn't see any, and so.
That is actually kind of remarkable.
Yeah. And so I cleaned her off and the bowl was just brown, almost black. And so I had to refill the water 3 times to get her clean. And then I didn't want to wash her face because I didn't want to get water in her face because I didn't think she'd like that. So then I was using a little wet wipe on her face and cleaning out her ears. And then we sat on the couch, or not on, well, we don't have a couch, on the bed with a towel, just because I'm I've heard that you got to get a kitten completely dry or else they can get sick because they're not great at regulating their body temperature. So
yeah, if you don't, their fur can mat pretty hardcore. If all the pet grooming channels I watch on YouTube are any indication, anyway.
Yeah, so we're just sitting there and I'm just drying her off, and she's just purring. She's a purr machine.
I heard her. Yet you shared a little clip with us in our Discord channel.
Yeah, she's like a nervous purr, so she purrs constantly if she's like upset or if she's happy. So it's just like purr 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 all the time. Oh my god. So yeah, and she loves to be like wrapped up in stuff. So we have like a really plush bathrobe that neither me and Ward have worn in years probably, but it was on the back of our bathroom door. But I set it up in like a little tub, a little plastic tub on its side as like her, I don't know, like her sleeping space. But she's so tiny, she can't she can't burrow into it on her own. So she'll come running up to me, meow, run over to the robe, and then look back at me and meow. So what she wants is me to like pick up the robe and like put her in like a little pocket of it and like what's her like she wants to be tucked in.
And then she wants to make biscuits.
And she just wants to sit in there and make biscuits and purr like a little monster. Oh, yeah, it is absolutely as like straight through the heart every time.
Just imagine this little furry child walking up and go, "Mom, bedtime."
Yeah, it is. And her meow is super scraggly. It's like,
That's fantastic.
Meanwhile, somewhere in a corner, Butterscotch just stares.
Yeah, she's pissed. Like, well, she's terrified of Bon Bon. Like, I brought Butterscotch into the bathroom just to like be like, "This is the baby. Like, please don't be terrified of her." And Butterscotch was like trying to get out of the door, and then eventually I got her to like calm down and just like hide behind my legs and like peek out the corner, and like Bon Bon's like under the sink just like barely peeking out at her, and I'm like, "Look at this tiny baby, she cannot hurt you." Butterscotch is like, "Sounds fake."
Press X to doubt. Before we wrap up, do either of you have like any 6.4 thoughts or feelings that you still need to get out there before we go on?
I do want to say that I'm a little bit miffed that the fight with Golbez seemed to not really have any consequences.
Yes.
He just gets up, hucks freaking Ashdaya into whatever remnant of Zodiark is in that hole, and it's like, "Hey, here's Aromas, and I'm just going to stand here and be like in awe." Like, my guy, we just beat the unholy tar out of you. You should at least be like recovering.
He might be the final boss of the 6.5 dungeon.
I really hope that's not the case. That's going to feel very anticlimactic.
True. Well, especially if I've been beating him up on the fucking extreme.
It feels. I mean, I would say it's comparable to, and whether this is a good thing or not, it's very Magister's Terrace. If you're a WoW player, you know what I'm talking about.
That sucked though.
I know what you're thinking, but that is merely a setback.
I want him to get freaking just like murked by Zero Miss, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm still recovering from the beating the Warrior of Light gave me, and now I can't defend myself." And then he dies, or whatever,
yeah.
or whatever happens to like creatures.
I want him to be like his friend's soul comes back and is like, "Why, friend? Why would you do this? This is not what I wanted." And then he goes, "No," and then he gets eaten by Zero Miss. Well, after he knows that he fucked up.
All I want is for them to like reference the fact that he's fairly recently had his butt kicked and he hasn't recovered entirely from it. Because as it stands, that great fight, and believe me, as someone who doesn't typically like overly challenging fights in this game, I really enjoyed the Golbez fight, and I've done it a few times at this point to help people get through the story. And it's very engaging, it's very fun. It's, readable after you do it a couple times or watch a guy like you should. But the fact that he just gets up, is like, "Ha ha, you may have defeated me, but this was my evil plan all along," and seems to suffer no consequences from it, just makes the whole thing feel anticlimactic.
Yeah, true. I mean, it could have been cool if it was something like, "Haha, I actually wanted you to beat me up because I needed that for some reason," like it was with oh god.
Yeah, something. Just give any story consequence.
I wanted to call Zodiark Zoidberg. Like it was with Zoidberg.
Just imagine Zodiark coming out of that hole going, "Hey, why not Zodiark?"
Oh, I'm dead already.
Imagine Zeramus looking like Zoidberg. That'd be
Oh my.
No.
Okay, did either of you play StarCraft? Like either of them, the original or the new one?
Yeah.
Not really, no. I tried it
Okay.
a little bit, but
My first thought when I saw Zeramus's face coming out of that massive cloud is like, this thing looks like a freaking Protoss Archon.
yeah. I thought he looked like an Arakoa from but I'm pretty sure it's just supposed to be like Ashdia's bird-like dragon face and then just like some little grabby hands.
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder. I just don't know as far as if we're going to how even that fight is going to work. Like, is it going to be, or is there going to be echoes of Zodiark in it, or whatnot? I mean, obviously, it's going to be one of those fights where it's like the massive boss that takes up half the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be feeling a lot like Shinryu, where we damage parts of it. And it's like destroying this thing did X amount of points to freaking Zeramus.
Yeah,
I hope we get something cool,
like
kind of like the Byakko fight, where like we get like thrown through a portal or something, and we got to like fly around and stuff. Like that would be really cool.
That would be pretty cool.
mm-hmm.
Like that's still one of my favorite trial fights, just from that part.
I do have another question for you two.
Yeah,
Sure.
What the heck is in that letter on Kryle's desk?
I know, right? I'm like, they're zooming in on it.
It is an invitation from an organization in Mericidia.
That's my thought process, or some sort of contact in Mericidia, and we're going to get expanded on that. Not probably in 6.5 is my guess, but in 6.55. That's when we're going to start seeing the tie-ins that are going to take us to what I'm assuming is an expansion centered on Mericidia.
I don't know if it'll be centered on Mericidia. I think much like how Endwalker isn't centered in Charlayan, although Charlayan is definitely a significant piece of it.
Guys.
I think part of Mericidia could definitely be could be part of it, but I feel like this is going to be a story that takes partially Mericidia, possibly partially in another shard.
Yeah, I mean, we always have possible. Like 3 different locations that we go to. I'm sure Mericidia will be one, like that near Charlayan and fucking space.
Right.
My thought process is that Heavensward takes place in mostly adjacent zones to each other. My thought was that Mericidia would be similarly organized.
I think it would be cool to go back to something like that. They just haven't done that in like how many expansions?
3 at this point.
Yeah, because like Stormblood was like all over the place.
Stormblood was split between 2 locations. Shadowbringers, we kind of stayed all on one shard,
but
we went to places. We went to places that basically were reflections of multiple other places on the source, so it didn't quite feel like that. And then we went under freaking water because why not? And then Endwalker were like, "Oh, what are all these cool places we need to go to resolve the story? Let's figure out Garlemald. Let's center this in Charlayan, and to make things weird, let's go to the moon. Oh, let's make things even weirder. Let's go to the edge of the goddamn universe."
So cool. I love space travel in my fantasy. I want more of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was always what I was hoping they would do in World of Warcraft, that it would become like Worlds of Warcraft. It would be like space traveling. They did that a little bit with, what was it, Legion, where we were on we
went to Argus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was the Super Draenei spaceship? I don't remember anymore.
I was like, oh gosh.
It wasn't the Exodar. The Exodar is the one that's on Earth, or not on Azeroth. It was,
that's the one that crash landed. It was like called the Vindicator? No, that's not right.
No, I think that's right.
Vindicar, that's it.
Vindicar, that's right. Man, back when the story was good and I liked it.
Still too much Illidan for my liking, but what are you gonna do?
I've been cheating and following the Dragonflight story without playing the game, and I will say the story beats in Dragonflight are at least significantly better than Shadowlands. I think Legion's story beats are probably a little bit better. It's not hard to beat Shadowlands, so.
I would say that the Dragonflights, I think, have always been one of the coolest and also like the most original parts of World of Warcraft lore in general. And so it was probably very smart of them to go back to that after
I will agree, because I've gotten kind of more of a closer inspection of it because my wife is actively playing the game and doing the storyline. So I get more of a telling from her perspective as to what's going on there. And I'm like, okay, this sounds cool, but I don't think I can bring myself to play World of Warcraft to see it yet.
I just don't have the time.
I don't have
oh my gosh, this month, okay? I mean, I have, while all this has been going on, I have played so far about 6 hours of Street Fighter 6. I know that sounds weird, but Street Fighter 6 actually has this RPG like mode where you create your own avatar.
Yeah, you can your own dude.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes, Street Fighter 6, just the World Tour mode itself, don't worry about the player versus player fighting. The game is worth the $60 just to play the World Tour mode. It is fun as fuck.
Well, I found a new game that I've been having a lot of fun with. It's actually, I think it's still free on the Epic Games Store right now. But it's called Midnight Ghost Hunt. And it is like 4v4. 4 people play ghosts, 4 people play ghost hunters. And then you switch
PvP around. Phasmophobia.
Yeah, man. Except it's like prop hunt when you're a ghost. The first half of the round, like each round lasts 5 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, if you're a ghost, you're just trying to hide. You're basically, you can do like sneak attacks, but you're pretty helpless against the ghost hunters. But if they can't find all the ghosts before the 5 minutes are up, then the blood moon rises and the ghosts become vengeful spirits and they can hunt down the hunters. And so it's really fun. And it's really funny to be like chasing after like a duck statue and like a cup with like a candle. And so it's got like a spooky aesthetic, but it's not actually scary, but it's a lot of fun. It's really fast paced, and I've been streaming it, and it's very like chaotic and fun, and if you guys ever want to get it and download it, I will play with you.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great.
I would love to. I just don't know where I'm going to have the time between sometimes playing Hearthstone, been playing Street Fighter 6, playing Final Fantasy 14, of course. And then there's 2 little games called Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy 16 that are both coming out this month. One of them coming out in a matter of hours. Actually, by the time people are listening to this, I will probably be playing Diablo 4.
I'm so not interested in Diablo. I got into whatever the last one was. Was it 3? I had fun with that.
Meagan. 3 does immediately come before.
I know, but like, to me, 4 doesn't look any different than 3. I'm like, why is this?
Well, that's the thing, right? Well, that's the thing about a lot of ARPGs is like they don't. It's you know what you're getting when you get Diablo 4. For me, I'm primarily interested in doing a playthrough of the story. I don't know if I'm going to be doing like the end game seasonal content all that much because, again, only so much time, so many games. But I do want to play through the campaign. Yeah,
I did play through the campaign and on the expansion for 3, the like Death God thing, which was actually pretty cool. I will admit. I don't know. It's so much clicking.
You can play it on console and not click.
I don't own a console.
Okay.
Is it on the Switch? I got the Switch.
Is it? I actually don't know if it's on the Switch. I want to say maybe not. But you could also, if you download it on PC, you can connect a gamepad, I think, and play it on a gamepad.
I might do that. I do have a freaking wireless Xbox controller that I used to use to play Fallout. I don't know. I didn't like the base game story in Diablo, and I thought that while the aesthetics of the expansion were cool, I still thought the storyline was pretty dumb. Like, but I do understand that like Diablo is aesthetics first, like actual sensical plot second.
Fair.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. I just I don't have time to get good at another game.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to get good at Diablo 4 or Street Fighter 6. I'm just going to play it and have fun for a bit. Ditto Final Fantasy 16. And I'll tell you what, of all those games, absolutely looking forward to Final Fantasy 16 the most. Will there be a bonus episode of a Podcast Reborn on Final Fantasy 16 with 2 other people if need be? Abso-freaking-lutely.
I want to play it so bad, but I'm like, it's not worth how much is the PlayStation 5? A lot of money. And I would want to stream it too, and I don't know how to stream off of a console, so
yeah. No, I get that. It's so I will promise you that I will not talk about Final Fantasy 16 story for an entire year so that you can play spoiler free once it comes out on PC on Steam.
I just hope that it's not an absolute garbage port. Because that has been
usually the Final Fantasy ports, like the 15 port to PC, was not that bad at all.
Really? I thought it was okay. I'm just like I'm side eyeing Sony after the whole freaking Last of Us port, which I still have not. I want to play The Last of Us, but I've not bought it because shit's still interesting. But yeah, I'm like, I really wish I could be playing it day one, but like that is way too much of an investment for one game. I'm sure there are other games I would like, but it's like I have my gaming setup is on my PC, and I'm like, I don't want to like figure out. We do have a TV, but it's like I don't want to sit on the end of my bed and play games. I want to sit in my office chair, my big chair.
When you go to FanFest in Las Vegas, you just need to find Yoshi P and say, "Bro, I really, really, really want to play your game. I will pay for the deluxe edition of the game, but can you give me a PS5 to play it on, please?"
Let me know how that works out for you.
PS5 onegaishimasu.
Well, I think we're going to call it there. There is at least one more episode for us to talk about 6.4 and other shenanigans between now and the launch of Final Fantasy 16, when half of the Final Fantasy 14 player base abandons the game for about a week or two.
Yeah.
So until then, Meagan, when you are not taking care of Bon, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at CatMomMeagan. It's all one word, and Meagan is Meagan. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I have Mellow Mondays where I either just chat or I play like a mellow sim game. Wacky Wednesdays where I do whatever I want, and Freaky Fridays where I play some sort of horror game. So if you're in the mood for any of that, come check me out or follow me on Twitter for announcements from when I'm going live.
Are you taking suggestions for horror games for Freaky Friday?
Heck yes.
I will keep this in mind.
Right now, I'm playing through a game called Palmyra Orphanage, which I got it on sale on Steam, and it's like a Soviet orphanage that's been abandoned, and they were apparently doing some sort of freaky psychic experiments on the orphans, and now they're all angry ghosts, and I'm trying to unravel the mystery, and there are jump scares, so so if you want to come watch an anime cat girl be terrified and hide in her emotional support closets while she tries to figure out this mystery, come check me out on Friday, 3 p.m. PST.
Outstanding. Brandon, where can people find you?
I have very much plummeted my activity on Twitter because, well, let's face it, the loss of all those third-party apps to filter out, all the terrible ads and the fact that I can't have a chronological timeline anymore means I don't really want to be in that shithole show anymore. So come check me out on my Tumblr. It's thebmat.tumblr.com. If you want to find links to everything else I've got going on, including my D&D podcast with Ro +5 to hit, you can still go to my Twitter at the same username. Just check out the link tree right there.
Yeah, definitely recommend +5 to hit. Hop on board to campaign 2 and make your way and catch up to where we are right now. Because I will say things are getting things are going to get pretty good over the next few sessions. I think I'm really excited about it. As for myself, you can find me on Twitter at Podcaster Row. That's Podcaster RHO. You can find the show on Twitter at A Podcast Reborn. You can email us at apodcastreborn@gmail.com. You can also find us at bonusroll.gg. We are a part of the Bonus Roll Productions family. Check out the Discord there, and you can find a channel for our show there as well. Theme music for our show is provided from music on Alex McCullough's YouTube channel. Do check out his channel for some great music. Link to it can be found in the notes for this podcast. And of course, that music and any other derivatives of Final Fantasy music you hear on this podcast belongs to Square Enix, and no copyright for infringement is intended. For Meagan, for Brandon, and of course for Her Royal Highness Butterscotch, and Bon Bon too. This is Brian Black. Until next time, may your loot rolls be high, your glamour fantastic, and your duties always complete. Brandon.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot believe I forgot to bring this up. Did you guys see the leak about one of the new jobs being added in the next expansion? And even better, our mentor is going to be the ghost of Arshafont. Yeah, the job's called the Whole E-Knight.
Oh my fucking god.
I thought the job was going to be called the Shield Breaker.
Oh, fuck you guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
It's great every time.